against colonialism. But according to the petition, the nickname, quote, glorifies the act of systemic oppression. History evidently not the strong suit over at GW. In March, filmmaker Amy Horowitz visited GW and spent 3 hours asking kids there whether the name of the school itself should change. Most said yes. Here's a selection.
Do you think we should consider changing the name of the university?
I think it's definitely worth having a discussion about it.
Personally, I would change the name.
I think that it should be changed. I think that recognition is super important, and I think that
recognition
for who he was as a person.
Do you think it's time to change the name of this university?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Would you change the name if you could do it?
Yeah. Sure.
We've sort of retrospectively mythologized this concept of liberty and freedom.
It's not to say that he wasn't an important man back then. It's just saying that in this day and age, it's not as important, I don't think.
What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say George Washington?
Oh, I think about him owning slaves, yeah.
Jason Nichols is a professor of African-American Studies at the University of Maryland, and he joins us tonight. Professor, I have to say, after watching that tape, I'm for changing the name.
Are you?
Overpriced and silly university, because that's what it is. But I guess what I love about this story, the colonials, is that the kids there are so dumb that they think the term is glorifying colonialism when, of course, it's glorifying the soldiers who fought against colonialism. But that distinction, that all-important distinction is lost on the geniuses at GW.
Right, but don't you think you could see why that would be an issue? I mean, why not have a name like the Revolutionaries or the Independents or the 76ers or the Patriots? Something that actually seems to make more sense than the colonials, and you're talking about people that fought against colonial, or even the Continentals. As we know, George Washington fought for the Continental Army.
That's true, so but what you're saying is the kids there are so dumb and so lazy and so high on the legalized weed here in D.C. that they can't be bothered to Wikipedia the term to learn what it means.
Listen,
and instead, they get all mad, angry college student.
Kids are at GW are far from stupid.
Well, I taught there for a semester, and I really liked the kids. It was a master's course.
But you think they're stupid?
That was 15 years ago. I didn't realize, it's always the dumb ones who get all the publicity. There's some actually impressive kids at GW, but the kids behind this are like drooling morons. You'd have to be. You're against the name because you're against colonialism, but the colonials in the name were fighting colonialism?
But the point is, do you think George Washington would want to be called colonial? I mean, he would want to be called, maybe Continentals, or have his name associated with independence, have his name associated with freedom.
Maybe. I mean, he's not here to fill us in on any of the nuances, but I can say for fairly certain, I think he might be honored that they named the school and the city after him.
So let's
then you're seeing that's, by the way, one of the most expensive schools in the country.
So
all the rich kids are like, oh, we got to change the name of the school because it's embarrassing.
Okay, well, Tucker, why don't you could have an AAU basketball team, and we'll call them the Liberals. Because you fought against the liberals, so we'll just call them the liberals. It doesn't make sense.
Well, it makes sense to this extent, and I'm no American history professor, but the colonial period refers to the time in which the Revolutionary War was fought, because this was, of course, a colony before it was a country. And so it's kind of a broad term that anybody who's even been awake in 6th grade would know about, except apparently the kids behind the petition.
Well, so George Washington, again, he fought in the colonial army for the British at one point. But the problem is this. I think he would want to be attached to the period following colonialism, the period when he actually, after the Constitution, when we were free.
What percentage of the kids who signed this petition, what percentage of the kids who signed this could name the century that the American Revolution took place?
Oh, I think 100%.
You think 100%?
I think 100%.
Okay. Would you be willing to bet cash money on that?
I would.
Because I bet you it's not over 40.
I don't make Tucker Carlson money.
I'm not, and I don't, you know what?
I can't afford that kind of money.
I'll give it 2 to 1. I bet you that not over 40% of the GW kids who signed this could tell you what century the American Revolution was fought in. I bet not 20% could tell you the years of the Civil War. I bet they are totally ignorant of everything and happy in their ignorance. And isn't that the headline?
I disagree.
I disagree.
I teach college students all the time. You know, they have, you know, I think that there sometimes can be a gap in knowledge, but a lot of these kids, I think we're way too hard on some of these young kids. They know a lot more than people are giving them credit.
There's no question. When my iPhone breaks, I corral one of them and say, hey, how does this work? You know what I mean? Download the software. I don't know how to do it. They're geniuses. But if they're attacking the colonials because they think it's colonialism, they're dumb. Sorry, I know I'm being mean. I can't control myself. Professor, it's great to see you.
Always. It's always fun, Tucker. Thanks.
I know, and we'll talk about what's happening at George Washington University. I know
Right.
you have strong feelings about
But this
that.
statue is a hippo.
Right.
That was donated to the school by the president. He got it at an auction or I think a garage sale or something like that. They installed it. And so that has kind of become one of the mascots. But really, George Washington University's mascot, the Colonials. And now there is a move to get rid of it because, according to the person who created the petition, it bothers a lot of people.
Yeah, saying we as students, faculty, and staff of the George Washington University believe it is of great exigence that the university changes the official nickname for its affiliates. The use of colonials, no matter how innocent the intention, is received as extremely offensive by not only affiliates of the university, but the nation and the world at large. The historically negatively charged figure of colonials has too deep a connection to colonialization and glorifies the act of systemic oppression.
No, colonials rallied against the British to fight for freedom, which is why you're in America at George Washington University. That's what it meant. And these are the colonials because those are the people that stood up. They were the first generation of Americans. If it embarrasses you, head for the border. I can know exactly where it is. Look for the caravan. They're welled up at the wall. So this is unbelievable. And to switch it to the hippos at George Washington University is just clueless. By the way, if they get over 500 signatures, this could go forward to a vote.
Sounds a lot tougher than the hippos.
Yeah, but what about appropriateness?
Look, the hippos are cool, no doubt about it. But nonetheless, it looks like, in some cases, history has no place in modern academia. You know, it's so 20th century.
By the way, hippos are very bad, very mean animals with bad teeth. So you do not...
The one at GW, I've seen it. It's adorable.
Right. But do you want adorable or appropriate?
I'd like colonials.
We want tradition.
Well, there's some backlash growing at George Washington University down in Washington after a liberal student's op-ed in the campus newspaper took aim at conservatives. Student Nasim Othman writing, GW doesn't need more dialogue on campus between the right and the left. We need for conservatives to be called on to reevaluate their political views and their actions.
A conservative student firing back writing this, the opinion piece written by Othman reflects a larger problem with liberals on GW's campus. They demand conservatives change their mind on issues, yet they refuse to engage in any sort of dialogue.
Joining us right now is that student behind the response, Abigail Marone. She is a junior at GW University and a member of the GW College Republicans. Good morning to you, Abigail.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on.
So what was it about this person's op-ed that just got your blood boiling where you had to return your thoughts in the op-ed?
Well, the first part that really bothered me was that the student was bragging about harassing Jason Chaffetz. We had him on campus for an event that I planned, and he was one of the most genuine and engaging speakers we had, and just to see the disrespect on display in this op-ed was really upsetting. But as I continued reading the op-ed, I just realized it was riddled with personal attacks and factual inaccuracies, and anyone who knows me knows I'm not afraid to stand up for myself and my beliefs, and I just felt compelled to respond.
Sure.
Well, and Abigail, you cite the need for more dialogue. We're continuously seeing this shutting down, particularly of conservative speakers on college campuses. Why do you think the left or liberals are so afraid to have that open dialogue or discuss opinions and ideas?
You know, I'm really not sure, because at the end of the day, dialogue doesn't hurt anyone. If you don't like what someone is saying, you can just not change your mind. But the problem is, when you don't have the dialogue at all, you're really just increasing the partisan divide on campus. I'm all for debates. I'm all for respectful dialogue. I love talking about politics. But to hear a student openly admit that they don't want more dialogue is really just stunning on GW's campus.
No, the dialogue, you got this wrong, Abigail. The dialogue is you two talk, and then you, the conservative, change your mind.
According to the author of this op-ed,
That's
right?
what they would like to happen, right? But they won't even talk to us. So here we are with our opinions still. And it's not the conservatives who don't want to have the conversation. It's the liberals on campus.
And did this writer of the op-ed, who was bad-mouthing Jason Chaffetz, did he actually go to the event?
He did not. He actually ran into Jason before the event at a restaurant on campus, and that's where he, in his words, not mine, quote-unquote, berated the congressman and was proud of it. And he didn't come to the event, which was open to the entire GW student body, and Jason stayed after as long as he needed to answer every single person's questions.
Well, Abigail, we appreciate you coming and having a dialogue with us this morning, so you have a great...